Have you ever been in a situation where you agree on a body of work with a client and the next thing you know, you're doing all sorts of things for them and you start to feel like you're being taken advantage of and or even feel like you're being underpaid, because you're probably doing pro bono work that was never agreed to and now you're too afraid to ask for the money. So what do? Well, all this is called scope creep. You can avoid all of this headache if you do the work up front by having a model or framework to follow. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tom, and what I cover on this channel are tips, tools, and lessons as a freelance consultant and entrepreneur. If any of that sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing. And don't forget to hit the like button. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to teach you how to build a model where you can properly estimate the work and also cover the unknown so that you can walk away with a proposal to the client with a high level of confidence. So that way you know exactly what needs to be done and then also have some cushion to absorb any work that wasn't discussed in the very beginning. So this model is built on Airtable, and if you haven't used Airtable before, I've going to leave a link above me where you can watch some of the tutorial videos and learn more about the tool. But it is an amazing tool and it's completely free and cloud-based. So definitely consider looking into it, as I'm going to be teaching how to build the model using Airtable. I will also have a link below so that if you're interested in signing up for a free account, all the information is right there. All right, so with that said, let's hop right into it. Okay, so before we begin, what you see in front of you is an estimation model template that I've created, or at least started. All right, we're going to work off of this. Now, this is by no means an advanced model. Okay, I've worked with a lot of advanced models in my consulting career, and the whole point here is that I want to create something where it's actually usable related to your personal business, so you got something to start off with. Okay, so we're going to build a framework. And what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to create a proposal or even estimate work as a freelancer or a very service-oriented business, so that way you have yourself covered and feel confident that the estimates you put in and what you are charging for the client is safe for the most part, right? So that way you can absorb any unexpected things that pop up, and it will help manage your relationship with your client much better, because the fact is you already have it included in your model. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So what you see here is that I created 4 tables. What you want to do, and we're going to accelerate this tutorial because I know tutorials can be very dry and so forth. I create a lot of this stuff in advance. So here we have the proposal details. You have it based on project. So I've kind of filled out very general information about 2 projects. It's like a mini CRM, and then we have a submission date of when we want to submit that proposal. All right. So this is just capturing. Nothing's really tied or connected or linked. You can capture all those other tutorials in my other videos. So the next table is called tasks. This is currently blank. Again, nothing's linked. Let me uncheck these other fields here. Just probably don't need it. I'm going to clean this up. Okay. And then your next one is your rate card. Now your rate card, I already pre-populate this. So let's walk through what this rate card is. When you create a table called rate card, it's essentially what you plan on charging. Think of it as a menu. Okay. It's like when you pick and choose things that you want in the menu and what the final cost is. What this allows you to do is put in all your work. Now, based on your experience, okay, you put in the rate that you want to earn. Like, let's say you know a strategy session. If you want to make $300 per strategy, you can definitely do it. You can always change it. But if you say, hey, if it's worth your time, you only do a strategy session only if it's $300, that'll be worth your time, right? So you have to think of it that way. And all the other experiences too. So in this example here, I'm looking at it from a digital marketing perspective, where now you have strategy, you have some funnel tier levels, it gets more advanced, writing content and articles, doing video content, and then there's some channel management, right? So this is going to be very focused on like digital marketing services, and these are numbers that I just literally randomly put them in just for this tutorial. So you have your rate, and you can say if it's per hour or if it's a complete flat rate, where it's a fixed fee, okay? Whereas hourly is kind of like times and materials. And then also by minute, because in case here, video content is per minute. So it gives you a lot of flexibility and gives you an idea what kind of rate type you are charging, okay? So that's what you want to do. You want to create a rate card. So this is going to be exactly what all your services will cost internally. You don't have to let the client know, but this is what you have internally, right? So the next thing that's very important is to create a contingency table. Now, why? So this is going to be based on your level of confidence. Let's say you have a discovery or strategy call with your client, okay? And they just don't not have enough information to provide you, or it's very high level detail, or maybe they gave you exactly what they need, right? So the more specific the scope of requirements that you gathered from your client, the higher level or higher degree of confidence that you know exactly what the work entails, right? The more general nature and very high level in terms of the requirements, the lower the confidence. So what we want to do is configure a contingency table where it has high, medium, and low, and in some cases maybe it doesn't even apply, right? So you can decide what you want to do as contingency, and I'll show you how this actually applies, but we need to set this up. I just want to walk this through, that this is more of a configuration, okay? So a high level degree of contingency or confidence level gives you a contingency of 10%, because we want to add on. What we want to do is we want to add on 10% of effort or costs, because of the fact that we have a very high confidence that we understand what the work is, right? So it's going to be fairly accurate. When things are a little bit low in confidence level, it's going to be the chance of it being inaccurate in terms of your estimates. You want to have a higher contingency, and say it's 30%. That way you know that you're covered for the unknowns. And then for the medium, it's 20. Again, these are just general rule of thumb. In many cases, industry standards is usually around 20%. A lot of people don't realize it, but 20% contingency on top of your entire estimate, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. So that's enough for the configuration. Let's put this into work. So let's go ahead and create a few tasks, and I'm gonna go and pull up my cheat sheet here and bring up some list of tasks here where I'm gonna go copy just to advance this tutorial quicker. We're gonna paste that in there. I got my task names. Got this task ID as being an auto number. So we have an auto number, so it's gonna auto populate. You got task names. And then what I'm gonna do is my task description, I'm gonna copy that here for this tutorial, put that information in, boom. All right, now we're ahead of the game. So I'm gonna go ahead and close that window. All right, so now we have these tasks. Now each of these tasks is tied to a particular project. So if you remember the proposal details, we have our projects here. So we want to associate a task with a project. So we need to create a link. So let's go ahead into the task and create another field called project ID, okay? And then what we want to do is do a link to another record and pick proposal details. And then I want to make it a one-on-one relationship. We don't want it to be a one-to-many in this case. We want to be very specific, and then hit save. All right, so now it's going to ask me for lookup fields. I don't need that right now. We're going to skip it. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and select a project. So let's assume the first two are project one. So let's go ahead and select project one for the first two. Okay. And then maybe the next one around blog posts and videos, maybe the next three is project two. And I'm just going to click and drag it to make this faster. Okay. And then a new funnel build. Let's make it that as project one, because we want to kind of make this kind of in order so you can see how this works. All right, there we go. We associated a project with a particular task. Now, so let's go ahead and figure out what this will cost to do. So what we want to do is do a lookup on the rate card. We want to assign a task with a rate card or rate item, okay, a task name. So let's go ahead and go back here and create another link, and we call this rate card. So then we go link it to another record and go to rate card. And I'm gonna make it one-to-one, not one-to-many. So it's very unique. Hit save. Skip that. All right. So now this first rate card, discovery call. Let's say this is a strategy call. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick strategy. Okay. The next one is a funnel build rebuild. Let's say that's tier 1 funnel build. Weekly blog posts. So let's go look for the article content. Let's go do per article. We got a 10-minute video, so let's go ahead and do that by minutes in terms of video content per minute. So let me expand this. And then we're going to have our YouTube video. That's a single video. So let's go look at video choices here. We have video content per minute per video. Let's do that per video. And then we have new funnel build. Let's say that's going to be a brand new build. So we're going to do funnel tier 3. That's going to be an expensive one. All right. Cool. Now we assign it a rate card, but we don't have the rate. So we have to do a lookup. So basically what we're going to do is using this unique key, right, from the rate card and pull the rate itself. We need to do a lookup. So by doing that, we'll be able to get the exact amount. So let's go ahead and create a lookup. Let's go call it rate. And this is going to be a lookup. And then now we're going to use the field called rate card in this table here, rate card, and then choose a field for rate. And then hit, well, we got to format it, make sure it's a currency, and hit save. And there we have it. We got our rates pulled. So the strategy is 300 and funnel tier 1 is 4,000. So let's look at that. Strategy is 300 and we got 4,000. So as you can see how useful this is, where you can configure and change it. So if I decide to change the strategy to be $500 an hour and you go back to the task, it automatically updates it. Very powerful. So this is how you get the rate here. Now, let's say we still need to do some calculations. So we got our rate card. So this is what our rate will be for this particular task. But because there are some things here that has to be by quantity or by hourly or duration, we need to do some multiplying factors here. So let's go ahead and create what we call the total cost, or sorry, duration, or quantity, okay? And that's going to be basically an integer or a number. So let's just make it into a number, okay? Let's make it into an integer, okay? Hit save. So now we want to designate the amount. So let's say a strategy, it's really just one strategy session. Here is just a flat rate. We know this is going to be a flat rate. And then we have two posts per week, 8 total. So this is going to be, because this is per article, we want to make this as a total of 8 here. And then we have that one 10-minute video. This is going to be per minute. So we know this is 10 minutes. So let's go put 10 in there for a 10-minute video. This is also a flat rate. So we do 1 for a full video production. And then this last one is also a flat rate. Now to kind of help out, the reason why I remember that is because I created the rate card. But if you want to where you can look up the rate type, we can do that too. So let's go ahead and create that for this tutorial, say rate type. And we do another lookup field. And then we're going to go by rate card. That's the ID we're going to pull from. And then instead of being rate, we'll be say rate type. And hit save. And there we have it. So now I know exactly what the type is for that particular rate. So I'm going to reorganize this and rearrange it to be right next to it. So you have an idea that what those rate types are if you just can't remember. Again, see how powerful it is to make that link to a configuration table called rate card. You just pull information there and you can actively or dynamically change information there and it'll update here seamlessly. So we're not done yet. Let's calculate what it will cost, like total cost. So let's say total estimate, okay? And we're going to make this into a formula. And what we want to do is then take the rate and multiply it by the duration and quantity. So we're going to take the rate, type in rate, and say rate multiplied, and then say duration and quantity. Make the format as a currency and hit save. So now it's doing the math for us. So you can see how where it's taking 10 times 10 makes it 100 for the video content. Okay, there's our total estimate. And that's as simple as that. So now what you want to do next is then figure out, do we really want to roll those up? How do we roll those up to the project level? Because this is all nice to have it all in one place. But how do you roll it up? So one way you can do it is create a view, a new grid view, where then you say grouped by projects, okay? You go to group, select the project ID as the grouping, and there you go. So now you have it all nicely grouped and organized and show you the total rate, the total estimate for that particular project. So if I right click and collapse, you can see it on a single line, the total estimate per project. So that's one way of doing it. And another way to do this is also pulling it into the proposal details, because one of the things that we want to do is apply contingency. Okay. So what we can do here is that instead of doing the contingency that we talked about to add on more hours to each of the tasks, it's going to be very granular. We don't want to do that. We want to add the contingency to the overall estimate. So what we want to do is go to the proposal details, and then you can see how it already created the association of tasks. I'm going to hide that. That's an Airtable thing. Let's go hide that field. And then I'm going to create a new value called total estimate. And we want to do a roll up, because we want to roll up all the tasks. So it's already tied to tasks because we already have that relationship, and we want to choose the field called total estimate. Okay. And then we want to sum it. So type in sum values, make sure the format is currency, and hit save. There we have it. I'm going to rearrange this so it'll be a little bit easier. I'm going to move it over to the middle here, and now you got estimates. Total estimate is $12,500 for project 1 and $1,450 for project 2. So if I go back to the tasks, that's exactly what we see here. Perfect. So going back to proposal details, let's add the contingency. Now we want to add the percentage of contingency to it. So in order to do that, we want to have something called, the confidence level. So let's go ahead and I'm going to right click and insert a field to the left of this and call it confidence level. And we want to link this to the contingency table. And we want to make it 1-to-1. We don't want to make it one-to-many. So we want to allow linking to multiple records? No. Hit save. All right. So I'm going to hit skip on the lookup fields and say this first project we have a very high level of confidence, and this one we have a very low level of confidence. Okay. Now you can start seeing how this all plays out. Now we want to do a lookup. So I'm going to do an insert left. I want to look up that contingency rate, very similar to the rate card. So let's go say contingency, and this is going to be a lookup. And we're going to use the confidence level as the reference, a unique key to look that up. So we're going to look up what high is coming. High will be paired up with. So we're going to want to put percentage, and then we want to make sure the format is a percentage. Hit save, and there you have it. So we know that our high level of confidence allows us to add on 10% contingency, and low level confidence 30% contingency. Now this is how you do more math. You're going to multiply the 10% of the total estimate and add on that 10% to the number. Okay. So the way we want to do this is add another field. I'm going to insert a field called final estimate. Okay, because you have the total estimate, you got a final estimate. I'm going to make this into a formula. And what we want to do here is say the total estimate multiplied, and then I'm going to put this in parentheses. We want to do a 1 plus, then we have the contingency. Now, this is just basic math. Follow me here. Since the contingency percentage is a 0.1% for 10%, 0.3% for 30%. So when you do it multiplied by times 1 plus, the 1 represents 100, right? So 1 times the total estimate plus the percentage in terms of the contingency, right? So it'll be like multiplied by 130%. And 110%. Okay, so that's how that works. So we're going to do that. That's going to be multiplied by that full amount. Format would be currency again, and hit save. There you go. So as you can tell, at 10%, it's about $1,250, and that's what got added. $1,250 was added to the $12,500. So now the total final estimate is $13,750 and $1,885. for the low estimate, which is 30%. Okay, so there you have it. So that's how you roll up your entire estimate, and you're baking in a contingency, which is just basically helping you cover any additional costs or unexpected things. And what that will allow you to do is have a friendly conversation with a client and basically say, hey, you know what? We didn't estimate for that, or we didn't account for that, but you know what? No problem. I'm going to absorb it. Because you know internally you can take on that work because you have this contingency if you know it doesn't eat up your contingency. But the client doesn't know that you have the contingency. So don't share the contingency with the client. When you make the estimate, it's really a way for you to protect yourself. But the client will just build that relationship with you and say, wow, this person's amazing. They were able to take on work and didn't hesitate. And then you can feel good about it because inside you know you can absorb it, right? So think of it that way. That's why having a contingency in your estimates is very, very important, right? And having the list of tasks that is very specific, and if you report on this, and you can always show it to your client that this is your scope of work. Anything outside of that, they should be aware and expected that, hey, you're going above and beyond, and that you can justify adding on additional work to the project and then give them a quick estimate how much that would cost them. So let's say you're in project 1 and you were given an additional work, a new task. I'm going to put new task in here, and it wasn't part of the estimate, right? New task, not included. I'm going to put that in here, not included. And then now you got to pick in the rate card and saying which task was it. Maybe they were asking you to do a video, another video, like a small video. I'm going to do it per video here. And then automatically you see how it just populates. It's a $150 flat rate, and you only need to do one of those. Then you can easily tell the client, hey, it's going to be another $150. Are you okay with that? See how it takes away all the, like questioning of how much you want to charge for a client, and just seeing how much the total costs it will cost them to do the work all in. So that's a way to kind of like making sure that things are kind of organized, structured, and you can always report this to your client and track it here in Airtable, which is why I'm a really huge advocate of using Airtable as a tool to kind of manage your work and even estimating your work. Now, the last thing I want to cover is that if you want to exclude certain things in the estimate, what I like to do is add what they call exclude, and then make this into a check. Let's say it's a checkbox, because here's why we want to do this. I'm going to hit save, and then now we got a little checkbox here. I'm going to go back to my proposal details here. Let's say you want to submit this estimate, and the client says, you know what, never mind, I don't want to add that scope of work. Can you remove it and give me a new estimate? Well, instead of deleting the task completely, like to say this new task that we just included, you could just check it and exclude it. And this is how you can do it. That way you can always bring it back if the client decides to bring it back. So when you have this check, right now it doesn't do anything. It just flags it. So I'm going to flag that one item. You can see the amount doesn't change. So we have to change the formula. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and double click on the total estimate here. And then we could say, right in front of this formula, I'm going to do an if statement. If, let me put a space there. Let me start this over. If, there we go. Whoops. If exclude equals 0, 1. So the way check marks work, just for your knowledge, if you have a check, it represents a 1. And if it's unchecked, it's a 0. So we're saying that if the exclude field equals 1, then basically make this a 0, right? We don't want to exclude it. We don't want to include this value. Comma, otherwise, do the formula. Rate times the duration, okay? And I'm going to put a parentheses to close this formula out. So again, let's review that. If excluded, put a 0 here. Otherwise, calculate the total estimate. All right, so let's go ahead and save it and see if it works. And there you go. See how it immediately turns 0? So if I take this check mark off, and then it comes back. So what's nice about it is that you can go an all-in proposal, tell the client, say, hey, this is what it's going to cost you all in. Here's option 2. where we don't do the video, it's going to cost you this much. And option 3, if we don't do a funnel rebuild, let's check this out, uncheck that, and we're not going to do a video, this is what your total estimate would be. So you can see how powerful it is, where you can just simply uncheck and check and add it to the estimate without having to delete the information and afraid you have to retype it in and redo it. So, and you can see how it's reflected on the main project or proposal details. So you see $8,500, which go to proposal details. You can see the total estimate is $8,500 plus the contingency. There's your final estimate of $9,350 for this client. So I know that was a lot. I know I went through that fairly quick, but hopefully this was helpful for you to organize your projects, the task involved in each project. That's very clear in terms of the scope when you talk to your client, and how to configure your different rates and setting up your contingency levels so you can protect yourself for those unexpected moments when you have to absorb some additional work. So that is pretty much it for this tutorial. I really hope you found this valuable. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. And again, consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. But that is pretty much it for today. And I will catch you in the next one. Take care and have a good one. Bye.